What's going on, people? It's your boy, Brass Tacks, baby. You already know, and if you don't, then you should. It's a lovely day out here in the UK. Lovely day, but guess what? Stuck in a lockdown. A light lockdown, but a lockdown nonetheless. Went outside, sucked in all the air, came back in this bitch. That's what my life's like right now. But you can rest assured I'm still going to give you that quarantine content, baby. DC's Birds of Prey, not to be confused with the Klingon Bird of Prey, which is the warship that the Klingons roll out on. Now, if you're a Trekkie, you'll understand that. But this is the Birds of Prey with that long-ass title that I'm not going to go through. I don't understand why they just didn't call it Harlequin and the Birds of Prey. That would have been easier. Instead, they've got this long-ass title, which is the first mistake. Never have a long title in your movies. Secondly, this movie was average. Not just average, but average. And I'm gonna tell you why. Now, if you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, then you already know that I'm a big fan of Margot Robbie. She's a great actress. Fantastic actress. And I fell in love with her when I saw her in Wolf of Wall Street. I stopped everything. Then she was in Focus, then she was in Tarzan, and I'm like, god damn. This girl is the one. She could be Mrs. Tax. No, I'm a girl watching this, baby. That's just jokes. And I truly feel that she makes an amazing Harlequin. She's got the accent down, great character. You believe that it's her. I forget it's Margot Robbie. I am actually watching Harlequin. But here's the thing. I found myself getting agitated watching her for a whole 2-hour movie. Sometimes too much of a good thing isn't a good thing at all. And the movie itself was kind of like my sex life. You didn't know whether it was coming or going. First you're on the present day, then you're 4 minutes away. Then you're 4 minutes ahead, then you're 4 minutes back. A day before, a day after. 5 minutes before that scene, 5 minutes before that scene. It's too much. And a half hour in, I had enough. Now all the supporting characters like Siren and Huntress, they're all very good in their own right, but in this movie, they're just not given enough time, and everything really starts kicking in about 10 minutes towards the end, with a rushed ending to boot. Now, I'm not offended by woke elements in a movie, as long as it's not overly forced, and I'm sure this has some, but it didn't really offend me, so I think you guys will be okay. And I'm gonna be totally honest, the standout of this movie, the scene stealer, is Ewan McGregor. 100%, he's amazing in this. Black Mask, he makes you feel uncomfortable, he's vicious as well. I mean, faces get ripped off. Literally, faces get ripped off in this movie. And he was unpredictable. You didn't quite know what he was gonna do. He was a great character, but the best character arc, the person I was most interested in was Huntress. She had a great backstory. I'd like to see a Huntress origin story, and I'd like to see the Black Mask origin story. I think those are two really good characters, but even then, in a movie like this, where you've got all the time in the world to flesh these characters out, they just don't. That's a real shame. And what you're left with ultimately is a very forgettable movie. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some very cool scenes in this. There's a scene where you've got Harlequin going through the police precinct and shooting the shit out of everyone. And it's very bold, very colourful to look at. But the problem with that is, it's too overly choreographed. It plays like a ballet. And you want to see some grit, and I think that's the problem. With one good scene, I could probably give you 5 forgettable scenes. Do you see what I mean? Bars. So that's how I feel about the movie. Now granted, opinions are subjective. I've got friends that actually really like this movie. These are just my personal opinions. Now I just said all this about the movie and you know how I feel. And for some strange reason, I decided to pick up the iTunes digital 4K version. 4K, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, HDR, the full shebang-a-lang. And I guess that helps because then I'm going to do some comparisons between the physical and the digital, which should help you decide whether you want to make this purchase. So it's a 4K Di, and this is a triple threat. It's HDR10, Dolby Vision, and HDR10 Plus, baby. You got the black bars. Dolby Atmos, 109 minutes, it's a 66 gig disc, and it's out May 12th. The visuals on this disc are very similar to Suicide Squad. The 4K Blu-ray of Suicide Squad and this look almost identical, with a couple of tweaks here and there. Now, Birds of Prey compared to the 1080p Blu-ray is noticeable, but it's not night and day. It's an improvement on fine details, close-ups. Ewan McGregor's face got a few more wrinkles on it, textures in clothing, Harlequin's egg sandwich, god damn. You're seeing a lot more egg on this 4K-age. And I will say that the fabric, the texture of the clothing is more of a standout here than on the 1080p disc. You really do notice the difference there. And overall, it's a fairly clean presentation. You're not noticing film grain, but there may be a bit of digital noise in this, especially in darker scenes. It's a bit more prominent. There's a scene where Harlequin is writing something on a business card, and you can even see the texture of the business card. That's something only 4K can do, people. In outdoor scenes, now there is a pursuit happening at the beginning of the movie where Harlequin is just running around, and you really do see the extra layer of depth that only 4K can provide. You're just not getting the same amount of immersiveness on a 1080p disc. The 4K is where it's at, people, and with girls like these, you want the 3D, you want the extra dimensionality. So overall, it packs more of a punch in terms of detail, in terms of depth. It's not a night and day difference. You're not going to look at this 4K Blu-ray, it's not going to be red panty night, but it's going to be appreciable. So if one day in a dark alleyway, the 1080p Blu-ray was just chilling, the 4K Blu-ray would walk up to him, bump his shoulder, slap him around a bit, and steal his lunch. But the 1080p will walk away unscathed. If the 4K Blu-ray bumped into the 4K digital, they'll cuss each other out, but it won't get physical. Bars. In terms of the visuals, the digital and the physical are fairly close. Where the physical wins is in movement. There's less blurriness, there's less motion blur when that happens. And there is a couple of close-up shots that reveal more detail. But it's not a night and day difference, people. It really isn't. But hey, you wanna know what the HDR is like? Harlequin's heartbroken because obviously she's broken up with the Joker and she's confiding in you, leaning on your shoulder. Yeah, and then she's realizing that you're actually quite a good-looking guy. And you're charismatic and you're funny. And she's like, listen, let's celebrate. Let's get really drunk. So you guys slowly waddle upstairs to her room, right? You kick the hyena out in this bitch, right? And you guys get crazy, get nasty, baby. And it's a great time. You have fun. But the problem is she's got you dressing up like her ex. Ain't no man wanna be dressing up like the Joker. Unless it's cosplay. This is a different kind of play. And she don't call you by your name, she calling you Mr. J. Shit. That's what the HDR is like. The brights are very bright and the darks are fairly dark. They're not inky black in that respect. I do feel that there was a little bit of grey in a couple of scenes. Not inky black like we would like. Now there are some inky black scenes, but it's a little bit inconsistent. Just like the wider colour of this movie. Harlequin's outfits, the colours really pop in outdoor scenes like I said earlier on. There's a scene where Harlequin is being chased by everyone. And the entire pursuit from start to finish is a very vibrant, colourful experience. She's wearing a very glittery, shiny coat in the nightclub, and the speculars just really pop off the screen. There's also a scene where Harlequin is captured, and there's this red dance segment, and it looks really good. It looks really good in HDR. Colours really do pop. Now HDR 10 Plus is an improvement, but it's a very minimal improvement at best. And I would say overall the primaries stand out a bit more. Your blues, your greens and your reds have a slight more pop to them than normal HDR. And as far as Dolby Vision goes, it's practically the same except one scene. And that one scene is the police precinct. She's going through shooting the shit out of everyone. And you see all this confetti everywhere, and it's a bit more vibrant on Dolby Vision. But apart from that one scene, I really couldn't see much else that the Dolby Vision was bringing, to be honest. Now this movie has a lot of scenes that have fairly solid colors in it also. And I think that's where the physical wins over the digital. When you're seeing solid colors on a digital presentation, sometimes you get some artifacts. They're just not there on physical disc. It just looks cleaner, and it looks like it's got slightly more color depth to it, slightly more definition in the colors, but that could be because of the high bit rate. But apart from that, I will say another thing I noticed was Siren's gold pants. God damn, they looked a bit more shiny in places, in just around the booty area. That's what I'm gonna say. Siren's an amazing actress, but she ain't one. I ain't gonna lie to you. As far as HDR and the wider color gamut, they're practically the same. Now whether your girl's enjoying Birds of Prey or not, you tell your girl to sit on the woofer and see what happens. Maybe that bird becomes the prey, if you get what I say. Bars. Now I can just feel the 18% of female subscribers I have just rolling their eyes to that statement. It's a fairly good mix on Dolby Atmos. It's not going to blow your panties off, it's not going to be red panty night, but it is fairly decent. The bass is great. The vocals are clean in the central channels, right? You've got fairly decent surround sound, and there are certain scenes where you're getting that Atmos effect. One of them being where Harlequin's being chased around the city and she's just dodging people left, right and center. She's getting shot at from one side, she's getting things thrown at her from above. You can hear overheads there. And the other scene is where she's in the precinct, once again, just shooting shit up. God damn, you can hear some overheads. Confetti and cocaine all over the place. You feel you're getting high with the Atmos surround in those scenes. But there are other scenes in the movie where you expect to hear some overhead and you don't. Overall, it's a step up from the 7.1 1080p track, so it's definitely going to be appreciable, but it's not a demo quality experience, not by a long shot, but it is decent. I noticed more definition in the subtleties, and it was definitely a bit more bassier than the digital experience. Siren Scream packs an extra punch, and whilst we're on the subject of Siren Scream, is it something that she does at will, or is it something that happens when she can perhaps get overly excited? Because if she was, let's say, dating someone and they were having an amazing evening, is there a chance that if they were to get intimate that he might get deaf in this bitch? Damn, it might just be worth it. Like I said, Siren's A1. Now let's get back to your girl sitting on the woofer. I think the best thing to do would be to play the precinct scene on a loop, because that's just going to do the job. You can just sit there, eat your popcorn, watch the movie. She's going to be having the time of her life. And there we have it, people. I'm going to give the movie a 5. I'm going to give the 4K visuals an 8. And I'm going to give the Dolby Atmos a 7.9. It's definitely the best version to get in terms of sound and picture quality. I don't know whether there's going to be a 3D version of this, but if there is, I would imagine that that would look pretty stellar, because there are some scenes in here which the 3D would really benefit from. But yeah, guys, if you want it, pick it up. I'm going to leave some Amazon links below. If you go through them, it costs you nothing extra, but Amazon kick back a little something for you, boy. And I've got a PayPal me and a Patreon if you guys want to support the channel in other ways. There have been a lot of you who have already donated to the channel or whatever, and I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. You know, I've had Call of the Wild for the last week. You know, I've been trying to watch it and I just can't get past the CGI dog. I can't. It's too obvious, people. I'm not gonna review it unless you guys really want me to, but why would you put your boy through that shit? If you do want it, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. But for now, people, stay safe, take care of yourselves. 4K Rockstar. You already know.